All right, we are live on the 33rd episode of Beyond the CMS. We started this project about 3 years ago as a way of giving CMOs and other folks who are responsible for large digital content decisions an opportunity to meet some of the minds behind the products out there, and also to ask us anything. The industry's changing rapidly with all of this AI stuff going on. But the idea was call-in style. If you're listening and making some time during your lunch hour in the West, Pieter, our special guest here, is checking in from Netherlands. So thank you very much. But really feel free to ask us anything. We appreciate your time if you're watching now or in the future. So let's get started. We've got a great special guest today, Pieter Versloot from Plate CMS and Plate Delta. You're going to tell us all about these great products that you have over there. But maybe, if you don't mind, tell us a little about yourself and the company and what you've been up to lately.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure. Yeah, my name is Pieter. I'm one of the founders of Plate. Plate is a content management provider, a content management solution vendor based here in the Netherlands, as you said. I met my co-founder Johannes 12 years ago, and we started out creating a website builder. So we did not, let's say, enter the content management space really on purpose, but we did it more or less accidentally by creating a website builder. It was a time where tools like Wix, Weebly, Squarespace were popping up, and we thought, okay, quite naively, we will create a Dutch alternative for that. So we did, and that's the basis of our let's say, the company. We are doing that with 20 people at this moment. So and we are focusing on the European markets with our partner network over here.
Oh, that sounds really cool. What was a little bit about your journey along the way to founding the company?
Yeah, it's a nice one, because my co-founder studied journalism. I studied marketing, and content is both telling stories and having impact on the business, and that's where we met. I think the first 5 years we did a lot of things wrong, because we are still young. Back in the days, 10 years ago, we were even younger. So we had to do it, let's say, our ways. So that meant when COVID hit, we thought, okay, let's go e-commerce, for example. We thought, okay, e-commerce and content, sort of the same. So let's do it all together. So we made a lot of, let's say, mistakes, but in the end, what sticked was a product really focusing on a multi-site, let's say, challenges that a lot of companies were having. A lot of CMS out there were not serving that specific need really, really well. And so we pivoted our company, which started as a website builder, more in that, let's say, a dedicated multi-site CMS thing. And then with all the lessons we've learned, the 1,400 implementations that are being done on that platform, both by ourselves and by our partners, we thought 2 years ago, let's put all our, let's say, learnings and our lessons into practice and do it over again. And that's where we started a, let's say, new side project, Plate Delta, as a new CMS along Plate Multisite, to serve a slightly different audience. And that's a bit of the company where we are today. So we have 1,400, 1,500 customers.
Awesome.
In two, let's say, buckets, two different product market combinations.
And when you talk about multi-site and how there wasn't a product, or CMSs weren't really serving that use case, can you just break that down into layman's terms a little bit? Like, what's the perfect use case? Who typically needs a multi-site implementation?
Yeah, it's hard to say, let's say, what's a typical multi-site customer, but what we are seeing is that you have more the enterprise multi-site and more the lower, let's say, the mid-market
Okay.
and maybe smaller. And what a lot of companies are doing are trying either to really use big systems and do a really heavy implementation with a big digital experience platform, for example, or pick a open source CMS and customize the hell out of it and try to fit those needs. And with multi-site, what you see is that a lot of the organizations using the website are relatively small because, for example, a educational, so a school, managing a website for a particular small school is not a, let's say, main function. It is something that someone is a teacher and does the website management as well, and therefore he or she should have a system that is sort of a website builder, so it's so easy to track in the text and the things. But you, as a whole organization, you want to have control over your content, your GDPR, the WCAG, so stuff, and therefore multi-site is quite interesting because on the top level you have a lot of, let's say, the big organization and the bigger things in mind, but from a really, let's say, content management and website management perspective, you just need a simple, easy to use tool that you go in once or twice a week and do some edits. And that's a kind of a challenging situation, how to be the best for the board, so to say, for the organization and for the individual website. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And you were talking about, through that journey, lots of lessons learned.
Yeah.
And how did those translate into Plate Delta? Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So how we came up with the idea for Plate Delta, because the core of our product has always been a website builder. So it's super easy to use environment to create pages. In a headless CMS, you don't have pages, or you should not be, let's say, oriented as a page builder thing, but more as a headless thing with a separation between content and experience. But we see a lot of companies struggling with creating or with the mindset that comes with the headless approach and with the headless implementation. And therefore we thought, okay, what if we can create a CMS where you can really start unstructured in a really website builder form, and then structure the content later on, right in the editor or later on in the content library. Because what you want if you have a content heavy organization is content governance. You want to keep control on your content. If you talk about, let's say, a certain topic, you should have at least know that this topic relates to a sort of cluster or to other topics that are related to it, instead of thinking about it and having it all in your head. You should put that, let's say, all that stuff in a system. And we invented, we call it CAS, Content Analysis Services, where you can just work as unstructured, so in a way that it is just, it seems like page oriented, but in the back end we are able to structure everything, even in an individual word. So for example, you told me before the show that you're a fan of Max Verstappen. If you and it's nice that we have number 33 as the episode number, because Max Verstappen
perfect timing.
Before he went world champion. Little proud Dutchie here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you, for example, select the word Max Verstappen, even though it is not a title in your content library before, you can just structure it from the unstructured page and then save it as either a reusable content type or map it immediately on the content type, for example, person or expert or whatever. And then if someone else in your team types in Max Verstappen, even within a text as unstructured text, that person gets a message. Do you mean Max Verstappen as being a reusable content value that's being stored in the library? And that's super important for bigger organizations with a lot of content, because if something changed, for example, Max Verstappen is not a 4-time world champion, but probably he will become a 5th-time world champion. You don't want to go over all those pages to add that, but you want to go to the library and say, okay, now Max Verstappen is not only 4-time world champion, but he's 5 times world champion. And I think that's the beauty of our, let's say, origin with website builder. It's still possible for me as a non-technical guy to create a page and to even structure stuff for repurposing and for reusing purposes, and from a more governance perspective, that team can control everything that is being done on the website. All no code. So there is no need, for example, to go to the GraphQL and go in code and see everything, because that's possible with headless CMSs. But we also, and you can do that with Play Delta, but we can also do that, let's say, no code right within the CMS and try to get the right story first. And we even get we did a prototype a couple of weeks ago where we said, okay, for example, Chris Bryce from Dotfusion, that company has over 300 customers, and if you say, okay, 300 customers on page 1, and on a different page your colleague says Dotfusion has 400 customers, we recognize that there's a potential link between those, and we say, okay, one of you is right. Tell us who is a 300 or 400, and let's save the amount of customers or the amount of references straight in the library, so we can control every aspect or every little detail on the website that's being correct.
Interesting. Can you talk a little bit about the infrastructure architecture of this?
Yeah. So everything is based on a GraphQL. So it's, let's say, a modern technique. Of course, compared to our first product that was more a monolithical thing, this is all being built, let's say, with the latest standards. It's composable, it's API first, it's headless, but we picked that GraphQL, the Neo4j database, and then add some layers on top of that to and we call it COST, so the content analysis services, to really, let's say, being able to structure it on that micro level, and to give organizations control and grip on their content again. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just thinking, if I'm a CMO listening into this, what's kind of signaling me to reach out to you to learn a little bit more, to get a demonstration? Is there kind of a situation where your product is like this obvious answer that maybe people don't know about?
Yeah. No, I think there will be a very good use case coming up quite now if you want to have control on your content. But even in the future, I think, for example, you probably have heard about AI, but it's changing the way we generate and consume content quite fast. And nowadays, people are not that much going to Google anymore, even though they are still going to Google, but they see more the AI oversight, or you're going to ChatGPT. And I think this is in Kickstarter, maybe a really amplifier of the headless thing, because before AI, headless was nice for companies that have a, let's say, multi-presentation layer and going omni-channel, but mainstream, the mainstream customer are just using a headless CMS for just a plain and traditional website or a traditional thing. Now with AI, it is way more likely that content that you have in your CMS is not only being visible on your website, but also within a story that's created in ChatGPT. And if you ask ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, what is the key ingredient for you as an AI or as an LLM to receive content from a company perspective, one of the four things that AI will tell you is structured content. Mm-hmm. So structured content is already possible for a couple of years, but it's very rigid. You have to model out everything in those headless CMSs. And what we have created is a way that you can either work very creative and very, let's say, loose, but then structure it afterwards and map all the schema.org data and the W3 data set on it right in the CMS without going to your front-end developer. You map it and you make it, let's say, knowledge graph ready right in your CMS, and all that content is, let's say, the best content or the best data set that you can push to a AI, and to say, okay, if you have any questions about, let's say, our company or our products, this is the data set that you are going to use. So I think structured content is there already for a couple of years, but I think that will become more and more mainstream also for the marketing side of organizations and the more commercial side of the organizations, instead of being a more techie development thing up until now. So for potential customers, I think there will be a, let's say, nice hook in why this will be more and more important. But honestly, Chris, for us, I'm speaking to a lot of CEOs, and the last thing that they want to do is replatforming. So we are a bit of in a bit of thinking mode about, are we going to let's say push play Delta only as a all-in-one CMS, although it's composable, but an all-in-one CMS where you have to store your content and your content experience and everything in it, and then have the best of our structuring assistant, structuring agent / content governance? Or are we able to, for example, get our content governance and our structuring assistant as a vertical or as an add-on and put it on a different CMS? So there's no need for replatforming. The only thing that we need is all your content and all your data, but I have to be nice for our CTO in a couple of for the coming months to figure out if he can a way to say, okay, I want to have all my content in Optimizely, but how can we make use of the way our structuring engine works, but still using Optimizely, for example, as the CMS, but get our, let's say, content intelligence and our analysis into that CMS in a form of a widget or an add-on or so. So I think probably our company will look a bit different in a year or so, and I think there is a big chance that we have, let's say, two different products, more an add-on division, focusing on the bigger CMS out there for the bigger customers that want to have more grip on content, and for the companies that are just in the market for a replatforming thing and then say, okay, yeah, I want to have it all. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just thinking that the product itself, I just don't know how many folks even know something like that exists. Like they're almost not aware of the problem of having folks that are more creative or kind of loose, as you mentioned, who just want to like get some content in there, but having essentially kind of systemizing that content and structuring it later. That's
my biggest problem. I don't know if it's correct English, but a latent problem. So it's not a let's say a super. People are not let's say familiar with the problem they are having until
but they're all having it.
So I'm sometimes more a let's say a pastor and a preacher to just tell them, okay, you probably have 3 people on your team now doing stupid work, so to say, with updating manually everything that's going wrong in your content, and you think that this is just the case. You think, okay, when I have a website with over 10,000 pages, I need 2 or 3 of those people and I need a content engineer. But in fact, with our tool set, you don't need those, let's say, all those roles anymore in your team, to have the same, let's say, impact and get the same stuff done as an organization. And then that's why we are now a bit trying to get more on that agentic thing and say, okay, yeah, we have a structuring assistant as an agent in your CMS, and also more a content governance agent, to make it tangible for the organizations that they probably have those 2 roles on the payroll, and they are not longer needed anymore. They can do other stuff.
Yeah.
Or for organization that we say, okay, yeah, it is probably a good idea for you to have both disciplines on your team, and you're not having them, and therefore your content is not that impactful as you like. But here here we have a tool set with those, let's say, 2 inbuilt things ready in the system.
Interesting. And so you're kind of in the opportunity zone of figuring out, can you layer this on existing content platforms, which would be a great service? Does this stand alone? Maybe both. Um, as a potential customer, now someone who maybe after listening in realizes that they have this problem that they've had all along. What does it look like from an engagement perspective? But we're not scripted around here, so we're just kind of freestyling stuff. But often the follow-up is, well, how do we get involved? Do we check out a demo? What kind of situation do I need to check this stuff out? What happens?
Yeah, typically, if you reach out to us, you will get an let's say 30 minutes demo, and we and at this moment we are doing a lot of, let's say, custom demos. So I spend 2 or 3 hours, build a demo, try to convince them during the demo, and if it's convincing enough, I give them access to that, let's say, demo environment, and they can play along with it for let's say 30 days or whatever. Cool. After that, it is more a, let's say, opportunity for us to onboard a partner or a implementer, because we are not we are a software company and we are only focusing on our core and roadmap development. So for example, if someone is listening in from whatever country, we should say, okay, yeah, do you already have a good connection with your local implementer? And we can train them. And because it's a headless system, it's quite easy to on, because they can work in the framework what they like, and we have good tutorials and documentations. But the way you think about content is quite different than the competition. So I think that there will be some more. So I think from a partner perspective, we have a slightly different monetization or project delivery side of the company, because we want to bring autonomy to the end user, and that means that you don't use the partner or implementer for every single thing. For example, that schema.org example that I gave you. If you want to add schema.org to your front-end app in any other CMS, you have to reach out to your to your partner, to your implementer. And with us, it's just part of the platform. And you can do that no code in your CMS. And that means that a partner should have a slightly different monetization model and our model than the traditional thing with a customer asks for 10 or 20 hours a month, and we are serving them. Did I froze, or was it you, Chris?
No, you look great. Everything was fine there. Somewhere in between our continents. Super cool. What's in mind for the future? How are you feeling about AI? Where do you think it's going? How are you implementing this into your roadmap? Where are you taking all of this into the future?
Yeah, AI is both a chance and also a risk, to be honest, even for the whole content management scene. Yeah. And we are part of the Boy and Company group, so we have frequently talks with other CMS vendors over there. And what I'm seeing over there is we are trying very much to be relevant with our CMSs, and I still think we are, as a CMS vendor, we have relevance and we can add value to it. But the amount of layers that the AI is eating away, from content creation to, let's say, front-end implementation and to content modeling, it is going fast. And I think that this is more and more a risk, but I don't know if only for the CMS vendor perspective, but definitely for the implementer and the partner perspective. Yeah. Because how much time are people willing to pay you for the designing of a homepage where you, let's say, have 4 times less traffic than before? Because a lot of the people are now just being stuck in ChatGPT and do the whole discovery thing not only on your website and your the competition's website, but do it now in a more, let's say, agent or a conversational thing in another platform. And I think that is a risk, and you need to change, and you need to be you're updating and educate yourself about how are people consuming content. And I think browsers and websites will be still relevant in a couple of years, but I think there will be a next thing created like social media. It was not there 15 years ago, but now it is eating a lot of the, let's say, budget away from a marketing perspective. I think also that will be the same for AI with the generation of content or the discovery phase of content. And I think that is relevant for us as CMS vendors, because AIs and LLMs should be fed, and it should be there should be going some content and data into that thing. But what all of a sudden ChatGPT just opens up a thing where you can store all your product and your company information.
It owns it all, yeah.
And owns it all, and then just say, okay, no, we are not scraping websites anymore. Just give us like Google My Business sort of thing, with a lot of comparison and reviews and whatever, and they decide whether or not they will list you as the top 3 if people are asking. So I think that's super difficult to judge whether or not the way we think about content management is still relevant within 1 year, let's say in 3 years. And also for website budgets and for let's say budgets for search engine optimization and for design. Because why the hell should you, let's say, pay 100,000 euros on the designing of a homepage when that homepage barely get any visitors anymore, or people are just, let's say, going to a search function. So I think search will have a kind of a renaissance within the websites to filter through all those content, and people are now used to consume content more in a conversational way, influenced by ChatGPT. Probably this is a chance for the CMS market, but also for the implementers to jump on the renaissance of search and say, okay, yeah, we are going to have a, let's say, your own GPT environment within your website, instead of going to the top menu and filter down pages where you want to go and spend 4 minutes before you probably not find the information that you want. That's, I think, AI as a threat, but also a chance, because if people will use AI more than what we are losing on the website, let's say, percentage, or the website market share, it will increase how much content there is needed and being stored. So that's a chance for us, but we should be relevant and be in a loop about not only content for the web or for websites, but also for different platforms. And it's hard to predict, Chris.
It is. It's exciting and scary, and we're an agency, and you just pinpointed 4 areas of our business that are impacted. And we have to make these decisions. What we've done is, as a way of kind of, I guess, managing the future, is we've decoupled all of our AI kind of services into a new company. So that's going to be kind of, all right, we're hedging on AI and engineering teams and stuff like that to deal with that. And we're staying true to websites, but we're already getting questions from customers like, well, we know you're probably doing some prototyping in AI, you're coding with AI. So is that going to be faster and cheaper and way better? We're like, I'm not too sure. But we're embracing it, and it's going to be interesting times. Sorry for whoever is listening now or in the future. I didn't get a chance to kind of thank you and reach out, but our time seems to go by quickly as the kind of expanse of ideas starts flowing here. I don't mind running just a little bit over here, but I just love it if you have any last words. Just leave us with something about the company, how to get a hold of you, and then we'll kind of follow up and share this with everyone on the social channels afterwards.
Yeah. So I think if you're reaching or if you're listening in or watching this episode, I think that it is even for the marketing and for the commercial side of the companies, it's interesting to put, let's say, structured content on your agenda. So I'm not, let's say, preaching for our own company, but I think the world and machines need more structure, because otherwise it's hard to consume the content and to influence, let's say, the AIs. So the machine learning part and the machine reading part of content will be a thing to watch out for. And of course, I'm sharing a lot of content on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well. So feel free to just follow or either Plate or myself on LinkedIn. I'm not only, let's say, pushing my own company, but also more the importance of thinking of more a technical part of content. And that's also new for me, because I'm a creative guy. I hate structure, so to say. Just give me a blank canvas, and that's the best thing. But throughout the years, I've learned and appreciate that without structure, it's hard to control and to get grip and to really, let's say, have impact with content. Because if I set something up as a marketer, I should think about it in a sustainable way, that a colleague or soon to hire colleague should build up on top of my work. And if you did not document something, if you not structure something, it's super hard to really build on top of what I've created in the past. And I think structure is therefore super important in a fast changing world, and also in the marketing scene, because a typical marketer is not in the company for a couple of years. The tenure is relatively short, so you should better ensure that it is impactful and lasting for people following you up.
Super cool. And I just wanted to mention too that the Plate companies are bootstrapped, so you don't need to bend and weave at the back of private equity.
It's a good thing, but also a risk. Yeah.
So we really support also running a smaller size shop over here in a little mini CMS. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
It's been super cool having you on the show. Thanks everyone who's listening. I'm sorry?
Thanks for inviting and for having us.
Of course, international now, so super cool.
And you already have been to Utrecht, so if you are, you will be in the Netherlands in the future. You always be welcome to drink some coffee or some tea, or what do you call?
What is it? Orange boom?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah.
Be cool. Bye.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye.
And